Hi, this is Stu and welcome to our little series Stretching for Yoga. And today we're going to look at some other elements to do with movements around the shoulder, which is this movement here, which is medial rotation of the shoulder. So anytime you come to bind around anything, you've got to be able to medially rotate. When we do things like Gomukhasana, where we're doing this and this, then this shoulder is medially rotated, yeah? The other thing that it is it's extended a little bit. So that's the other movement we're going to look at. We're going to look at extension, so that's taking our arms behind us. And so postures like Purvottanasana, where we're in this sort of mild back bend with our arms behind us in this position, and we're lifting up, and we're trying to get our feet down to the floor. Most often, it's the ability, core strength and strength around the legs, but there's not much of a flexibility issue in this part of the body, apart from potentially not being able to flex our ankle enough. It's mostly about being able to take our shoulder into extension enough that we've got the right angle, okay? The other posture that involves that extension movement is Prasarita Padottanasana C, where we're in that wide-legged position, and then we're taking our arms behind our back, and then we're taking our arms over towards the floor, yeah? So we're in that sort of standing posture. So those are sorts of postures that you encounter this extension of the shoulder. And it can be quite a restriction for certain people, particularly this medial rotation. And the one that will really we don't notice it so much in the binding because of the fact there's quite often so much else going on. You know, we've got a knee here, this foot might be in Padmasana, and we're trying to get around. And there's so much stopping us getting into the right place anyway, that the bind is just the last bit. So sometimes it's a little bit confusing as to whether it's my shoulder or whether it's just being able to get into the right position to do it. But the big one that shows it up is Gomukhasana arms. So if when you are about to do Gomukhasana, we won't worry about what I'm doing with my feet for the moment, but say you're about to come into Gomukhasana and you take this arm behind you, and when you take this hand up, then there's a gap between the two. They don't quite meet, yeah? Or it might even be down here. Generally, it's to do with our ability to medially rotate this shoulder in order to take our arm behind us and then take the arm up the back without that shoulder blade also popping off the back too much as well. So this is our indicator as to how far up really our arm comes up our back as to whether we're a little bit restricted in this medial rotation. So what can we do about it? For me, the easiest ones is, again, using a strap and using a little bit of contract and relax between the two, yeah? So what I would do is I would take my strap and put my top arm into position so that I've got it where I want it. And then I'll bring my bottom arm in. Now, what you really want to do is work the control and the movement of this arm as much as possible. So every time you're trying to establish a movement pattern that allows you to get a little bit more in and a little bit higher, so that your body is beginning to learn what it is you want it to do, okay? So we get our top arm in position, the strap down our back, and we really try and accentuate that medial rotation, take the elbow back, and then we start bending at the elbow and get hold of the strap wherever we can, and we'll say it's down there. Okay, then we're sitting up straight, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull down on the strap as if I'm doing that. So I'm not worried about pulling up with my other arm, I'm just going to pull down. So now I'm working a little bit, I'm pulling down on the strap, and all my upper arm is doing is just holding it where it is, okay? And then after about 5 or 6 breaths, only pulling about 20 to 30% effort, okay? Then all I'm going to do is I'm going to relax and I'm going to walk my fingers up the strap, okay? And then I'm going to pull again. All the time, trying to keep your head back against your upper arm. Again, 5, 6 breaths. Then we're going to relax. And then I'm going to walk my arm up the strap again until we come to a stage maybe that we can clasp our fingers. If we can clasp our fingers, then we can do the same sort of thing. We can pull down against our clasped fingers, yeah? And then after 5, 6 breaths, then we're going to relax. If this causes you pain around the front of the shoulder, then just ease back, yeah? Just work on the lower part and work on where it's comfortable and work on being able to control your arm back in a way that it doesn't hurt and come into position. And just work in that range until you get more and more range of movement, okay? As a little side issue, there's an article going up very soon, maybe up now already, to do with the importance of hanging for the health of the shoulder girdle. And so if you want to try that out as well, just try daily sort of hanging from a door frame or I was going to say a tree, but I can see the litigation sort of coming in by the bucket load. Something that doesn't take you too high off the ground. It's meant to be very healthy for the whole shoulder complex because we do so much pushing in the yoga, pushing in down dog, pushing in handstand, pushing, whereas not too much pulling. So it's meant to help give us some space around the shoulder. So definitely also try that sort of hanging. So that's a little bit of a side note. Another exercise just to work on that medial rotation of the shoulder is to actually take your arm behind your back and just place your hand, the back of your hand, into the small of your back. And then from there, what I'm trying to do is imagine that I'm doing this. I'm pressing my hand through my body to come out this way, but my body is going to stop me. So my hand is here, I'm pushing into my body, now I'm working, 20-30% effort, and then relaxing. And then pushing, 5, 6, whatever breaths, and then relaxing slowly. So when it comes to the relaxing, don't just go, bah, it's done, thank God. Just take off the pressure slowly. And then what you can do is try and see what it's like to put your arm up your back again, whether that makes it any more easy for you, okay? All right, so those are a couple of exercises to work and help you on the medial rotation of the shoulder. Here's one more. This was shown to me by a good friend, Suresh, in Bali. This, again, won't suit everybody. So you start in this sort of squatting position. And what you're going to do is you're going to take your arms to the insides of your thighs and place your fists into your belly, okay? And then what you're going to do is, without closing here too much. Now, if you're one of those people that can sort of just squash the whole of the front of their body closed, then I'd say don't do this exercise because that's all a little bit nasty and you don't want to accentuate those sorts of movements. So what we want to be doing is keeping open across the front of the chest, but now I'm going to start pressing with my knees, pressing my elbows towards the center line. Yeah, and that feels like quite a nice opener for me. Yeah, if it all feels a little bit nasty around the wrists, try with open hands, try with a fist, try in a different position. If you still don't like it, then don't do it. It's one of those ones that, you know, it feels quite nice for some people, it just feels horrible for other people. But it will get into the shoulder, and so it's like this. And then you can also push out a little bit against your knees if you want to, hold for 5, 6 breaths, and then relax and take the elbows in a little bit. But again, don't close too much this space here. Good. Okay, so those looked at all the medial rotation of the shoulder. So I just want to look briefly at extension. I say briefly because there's not a lot of good exercises, I think, to work on that extension of the shoulder. And for me, it can be a little bit problematic if we push it. What tends to happen, I think, is that if we're restricted in those muscles that stop us coming back this way, what can happen is we can land up moving the whole scapula relative to the clavicle. And there's a little joint here called the acromioclavicular or AC joint, yeah? And what tends to happen if you torque that too much, you can end up with some pain at the front of the shoulder here. Something I think that happens a little bit with too heavier adjustments in that Prasarita Padottanasana C. So the only one I would suggest really is this sort of one where you're just taking the arms out behind you in this sort of position and just seeing if you can take them a little bit further each time. So you're just really trying to create the distance between my bum and my hands, yeah, without sort of sagging too much in the low back. If you want to be a little bit more adventurous, you could actually place your arms up onto a ledge and then just drop your bottom slightly. But again, just be very sensitive about what's going on at the front of the shoulder, because you really don't want any aggravation here, because it will come back to haunt you in many of the other postures. So work on that sort of extension by just taking it through movements, just doing it, you know, even trying to control it back yourself as much as possible by muscular effort without creating too much tension, and then bringing it back again. So you're learning that motor control to take your arm out behind you, yeah? Good, so hope that helped. This one is a little bit of a shorter one, but lots to be learned from it, and hope you enjoy, and see you back for some more stretching for yoga.